over back up in the mountains with Rosie going crazy and Richie and Kathy. This is it, that they made your wedding about you, about them? Come on, that's the final straw, girl. Anyway, I'm not here to judge. Come on now. So she says that she's not going to speak to the brother or the other woman because her parents are looking down at her right now. And you know how when you get a sign from above from one that passed, she was very close to her parents are giving her a sign that she's on the right track of not speaking to her brother. Well, Joe Gorga never really speaks out. He doesn't address things like this. He plays the game pretty well and just, you don't give life to something. I've said this before. If someone is out there spreading fake narratives about you and fake stories, there are people that do that to me, and you let someone run with the worst, craziest, most fake story about you, you let them run with it. The more they talk, the more crazy, incorrect things they say about you. It happens to me. People say stuff about me all day, and you let them go with these crazy, incorrect facts and stories, and you don't respond or care, and you focus on your business and growing your business and growing your life. That is top tier self-care. You're living rent-free in their life and you don't even know they're alive. So Joey Gorga usually does that, but enough is enough. So Joey Gorga has responded. His response to that about the parents looking down, telling her she's on the right track by not speaking to the brother. Wow, she is a sick human being. Manipulation at the deflection of her disgusting behavior. So he's referring to Paying the D-List podcast. So he's saying it's manipulation at the deflection of her disgusting behavior. Her parents from heaven are telling her she's on the right path to hurt their son. That's some sick shit. I got to give it to Gorga on this one. We don't play favorites here, but I mean, that is like, does she realize what she said? I mean, she's saying her parents are looking down and saying, you're on the right track to never speak to your brother again. You're on the right track to keep doing this right. You're on the right track to hurting our son. That is kind of some sick shit. So no horse in the race, but I gotta go with Josefina Gorgasita on this one. Josefina Gorgasita, I agree with you. That is some sick shit. Okay, when are we going to get to the damn episode? We're not having a 3-hour conversation here today. Listen. So she says Jerry says, how are we going to sustain this? Andy says it's not sustainable. She says, you're right. We're in the same room. When I come in, Margaret and that other person you mentioned just scurry. Now we know there's a rat that scurries. She's in the corner. She doesn't like Munster. She likes Gouda. Her name is the Tam Rat. But when she is referring to the person that scurries, it's Melissa. She won't even mention Melissa by name. She's like Margaret and that other person you mentioned. So that's what I mean about these interviews. Like, they're bringing the toxic shit to like daytime TV. It's like, these people are just doing their job. She also said she's staying on the show to the end, that she's not going anywhere. And I do agree with that. But, yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's anything. Look, you know what my statement is? You want to know what my statement is about myself? I am humble enough here behind the velvet rope to know that I'm replaceable. Now, no one's going to replace me because it's my damn podcast, but you can tune out and go tune in somewhere else. So I personally, David, am humble enough to know, I'm just making this up now, but this is how I feel. I'm humble enough to know that I'm replaceable because everybody's replaceable. But I'm confident enough to know that I'm the best at this podcast game. Those two things can coexist. You can be humble and know that you're replaceable because everybody's replaceable and I ain't so special, but I'm confident enough to know that I'm great at this fucking job. That's not being cocky. That's being just, don't sell yourself short. Don't diminish yourself and go in the corner. Don't make yourself a fucking wallflower. Shine, people. Shine. Shine with your talents. How am I at dating? Horrible, okay? So, where were we? So, yeah, it's not sustainable. And yeah, I think you are going to last, Teresa, but just, be careful. Now, Melissa is doing some interviews as well. She says, first of all, she's bringing it up too. She's disgusted and embarrassed. Little Messy G is saying she's disgusted and embarrassed by what Teresa and Miss Aydin are doing behind the scenes. Jennifer with her leaking of the screeners, allegedly, and Teresa stirring the pot and getting people to say good things about her, allegedly. So Messy G is disgusted at their behavior. And she too is speaking out in an interview. Now, Margaret and Melissa is doing things like she is posting Dream Team, and she's having a picture of her and Fuda and Margaret. And Jackie addresses this in an interview, which we're coming to. So Melissa's doing these postings like Dream Team, the future. So she's trying to imply to Bravo, like, there is a way to go ahead with the show. Listen, Margaret is now doing an interview, totally different. And she's saying that it's also not sustainable. So Margaret Josephs is sitting there and telling us that this is not sustainable how it is. Oh, Margaret, I feel the two people making the biggest mistakes at this point in the game are Margaret, Marge the Sarge. You guys know my friend the Sarge, and Jennifer Aydin. We're going to get to that. The thing is, Teresa versus Melissa, there will be a sacrificial lamb. And if it's a sacrificial lamb on Melissa's side, it's going to be Margaret, in my opinion. And on Teresa's side, it's going to be Jennifer Aydin. It's not going to be Melissa, and it's not going to be Teresa. So I understand what Margaret is saying. She's backing up Melissa's claims. This is the dream team. Margaret goes so far as to say that, we all get along, and there's like, a lot of us have great chemistry and we work great together. And she says specifically, she refers to, I'm trying to find the exact quote. She refers to Melissa and she refers to Fuda. She has no problem with Dolores, Cabral she has no problem with Fessler or Dolores or Cabral, but she specifically says something like, I'm trying to find, maybe I'll find the right quote here, but it was an interesting quote. She quotes herself. She says, I'm disgusted with all the toxicity, Melissa, Fuda, and she's implying a show that goes forward without Teresa. And she's saying it's not sustainable. And I would just say, again, I ain't no Teresa fan. I think she's an animal, but I ain't no fan of the Saj either. So I really have no horse in this race. That's why you listen. We're a podcast that's not being bought. There's a lot that are being bought, allegedly. So, but be careful, Margaret. Be careful, because if you keep saying this is not sustainable, you're basically going to talk yourself out of a job. Now, Margaret also actually seems to me like she doesn't even fucking care anymore in these interviews. I think Margaret is a smart woman, and I think she actually knows that this is the end of RHONJ as we know it, and her future ain't so bright. She's a great housewife. She might be on next season, but I would be careful, because her saying that this is not